Welcome to the first episode of Podnutz Daily. I'm Steve Cherubino, your host. This is going to be a podcast of general daily computer repair tips. You may have heard of Podnutz, which is our weekly repair podcast, but I found that there's so much information to cover during the week that I don't want to save it all up into one episode. So I'm going to be doing a daily short podcast to cover just a few things that maybe I've encountered during the day in my repairs, or maybe that you've had questions about. These should run about 10 minutes or so, and I hope you listen and get a lot out of them. I definitely encourage feedback, so if you guys have any questions for me or comments, send them to mail@podnutzdaily.com. And I'm going to be having a phone number soon. I'll put it on the website as soon as I get it up, where you can leave voice messages, and then maybe we can place some on the air if there's a question there that we can answer. Okay, so let's get started for today. Today I had to work on one of those new HP Slimline computers. The exact model was an HP Pavilion Slimline S3100N. And what the customer wanted on it was Windows XP instead of Vista. As you guys know, Vista comes with almost every computer now, and a lot of people still want XP on their machines. So I've been doing a few of these, and it's becoming increasingly difficult to get XP on a machine that has Vista on it. For this computer, for example, I uninstalled Vista, but I kept the recovery partition on the machine in case the person ever wanted to go back and use Vista. At least he still had the recovery partition on the machine. Then I installed Windows XP with Service Pack 2 on his machine. Now, the problem is drivers when you do this kind of installation. A lot of companies don't make drivers anymore for Windows XP for their newer machines, and it's going to become increasingly difficult into the future to get drivers that work with XP. But right now, we're at a point where you can still get drivers for XP for most machines. Not all, but most machines. HP's website won't have them on their website. You actually have to go digging a little bit and find either a similar model computer that has that comes with Windows XP or has had Windows XP, and you get the drivers off of that. The most luck that I've had was actually typing the model number of the computer I'm trying to install Windows XP into Google, along with the word XP space drivers. So if it's an HP Slimline 3100, type HP Slimline 3100 XP drivers into Google. And most of the time, you're going to find a person who has posted something in a forum or something like that. You're going to find a person who has had the same problem and found a solution and is posting it online. It almost happens every time like that, where I get the drivers in this way. Sometimes the manufacturer's website will have them, but they're only going to have them on the manufacturer's website if that computer actually comes prepackaged with Windows XP, which most of them don't now. But today, luckily, I found a person who had the same situation as me, and he actually posted online all the drivers that I needed to get to install Windows XP, so that went smooth. Another thing that I've encountered is sometimes companies will ship two different laptops, different model numbers, but actually they have the same hardware inside. And one model might come with Windows XP, and the other model might come with Vista. I've seen this a lot in a lot of business versions of laptops, where one is for like entertainment and multimedia, and that comes with Vista, and then they'll sell a business version which comes with XP, but the hardware is basically the same inside. So if you find out what those two model numbers of laptops are, you can get the drivers for the business version, which has the XP drivers, and put them onto yours. And one other thing to do is to, of course, if you can't find the drivers, try to find the manufacturer of the parts that you're trying to find the drivers for. If it's a Realtek sound card, then go to Realtek's website and download the drivers from there. If you're trying to load an NVIDIA graphics card, go to NVIDIA's website and get the drivers from there. You should have success doing it this way. Hopefully those manufacturers still carry drivers for Windows XP. That was job one for today. Along with that, I just want to add that when you get a new system, it's going to prompt you during the first hour or so that you're using it to reinstall or to make the recovery DVDs, which basically will have the operating system in case something ever happens to your computer. I highly recommend making those DVDs, because if your hard drive's crashed, it doesn't matter if it has a recovery partition or not. That might be corrupted, and then you lose your operating system. We'll have to reorder them from the manufacturer, and they're going to charge you for that. Okay, the other computer I worked on today was another HP desktop, but it was probably a computer from the year 2004 or 5, I would say. Most HPs, starting back maybe around 2003 or so, include recovery partitions that has the operating system on it. Now the operating system is Vista, but back then the operating system was XP. So the recovery partition actually had Windows XP. Now this computer had a virus and was giving him certain errors and hard drive problems. So for the sake of speed, I just backed up all of his information from his My Documents folder onto an external hard drive and then just did a system recovery. System recovery will take the computer and bring it back to factory settings. On most HP machines, it is in the Start menu under, I think, an entry called PC Tools and Help or PC Help Tools, something like that. You'll find System Recovery. If you don't see it there, and this is only on HP machines, you will usually see when you do a boot, when you reboot the computer and the HP flash screen comes on, you will see press F10 for System Recovery. HPs are usually F10 for System Recovery. Different manufacturers have different buttons to press, but HPs are usually F10. So if you hit F10, you'll boot into the recovery partition, and they're going to give you two options usually. And again, this is only for HP. You're going to get a destructive recovery option and a non-destructive recovery option. Destructive recovery formats the hard drive first. Non-destructive recovery will take whatever information that HP thinks is important, mainly your My Documents folder, and store it into a separate spot on the hard drive and then reinstall the operating system. Now, from experience, the non-destructive recovery for me has usually resulted in problems. Either the recovery function doesn't go through all the way and the system actually never recovers or gets stuck along the way, or some such error like that. I've had bad luck with it. So what I like to do is my own version of non-destructive recovery, which is take all the important information off of the customer's computer, put it into external spot. Most of the time, all their documents are in their My Documents folder. So you could pretty much just copy over the My Documents folder, but ask the customer or ask whoever whose computer it is exactly what they want saved on the computer before you just erase the hard drive. Anyway, so I back it up into an external drive, and then I do a destructive system recovery, which wipes the hard drive clean, restores the computer back to factory settings. Now, when it does that on these older computers, you're going to find that sometimes it restores the computer back to when XP Service Pack 1 was out. And you're going to know the difference between XP Service Pack 1 and 2 because an XP Service Pack 1, when you